This podcast is brought to you by 5spec. Feel free to download and share it. Batteries not included. T's and C's? What's that?
Wachampura! Well, I think that's a great catchphrase. What do you think? I think it's awesome. Podcast 34, that's what it is. Welcome to it. I'm Leigh, and it's breakfast leftovers. What a wonderful Kachampura day it is. I think it can also work out as a day, right? So coming up today on the podcast, well, we're going to be talking about foods that are antibiotic, as I've been doing, but I think we can wrap that up today, as well as what are antibiotics and the resistance and so forth and the dangers, as well as, seeing that there's been this whole talks about COVID-19, things are getting better now, there's no need to wear masks. Well, it's all a big fat lie, because it just so happens that there's actually some new COVID rules and restrictions that are for us South African people. This obviously includes, wearing the mask mandate and so forth. But I'll be telling you a little bit about that and what is actually going to go down, as well as, like the permitted gatherings, how many people can be outdoors, how many people can be indoors, things like that, as well as traveling and so forth and so forth. So that's still coming up, as well as the usual shenanigans that go down here on Breakfast Leftovers with myself, Leigh. And make sure you subscribe. Please subscribe to the podcast, and make sure you also ring that bell so that you can get notifications every single time a podcast comes up. Alternatively, well, not really alternatively, but it would also be nice if you like the podcast as you see them on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook, Leigh and Padu. You can find me as Rose Mosenohi. And of course, there's also a page called Leigh, and there's a whole bunch of cool information there that goes on with events taking place, podcasts as well, and fun things in the world. I'm also on Twitter at RoseJock, and on Instagram under Dame Rose _yo, like yo, but just one yo. That's me, Roseanne, right there, so easy. So now, it just so happens that we're getting into the season once again. It is getting cold, it's vicious, and a lot of things are going on. For example, people are getting sick, they're getting flus, all these other things, influenza. We need to help them and stuff like that. And because we don't necessarily always want to take care of ourselves, well, that's what breakfast leftovers is. Never mind also the fact that I get to talk to you while eating some leftovers, or eating some breakfast, or eating some lunch, or eating some dinner with you, is you can also download this podcast and listen anywhere at work when you're having your lunch break. You get stuff like colds or runny nose, which is something I have currently. A flu, as I mentioned, bronchitis. There's also most coughs that start to take place now. You have the dry cough, you have the woofing cough, which is always the funny one because it always sounds like you're barking, like woo, woo, woo. It's a very funny cough. And then there's also, some ear infections that come across, sinuses, stomach flus, coronavirus disease, and this goes on and on and on. And sometimes taking an antibiotic for a viral infection, it won't really cure the infection, and it won't even keep other people from getting sick, and it won't even help you or any person, like a small child, feel better. And it also does cause, although needless and harmful, side effects, and it also promotes antibiotic resistance, which has always been like an issue with me. Like, you go to a doctor and sometimes they give you antibiotics, so you go to the clinic. If you don't prefer going to the doctors, you get antibiotics. And sometimes I've noticed that they kind of give them out like, free candy, and it's very dangerous because you can actually form a resistance. And when you do actually get a resistance to antibiotics, a lot of things are really, really bad for you. For example, like your health will be at serious threat, and I'm gonna help you stop this. And this is actually exactly what is going on, and with the problems that taking antibiotics, and also there's also creating bacterial infections, which eventually they don't work anymore, and which really sucks, honestly, because some drugs don't work at all against bacteria, as well as drugs, I guess it's medication as well, being such a data head. Drugs, medication, medication. Pretty much the same thing. Now, the question still is, what happens if you already misused or basically overused them and now your body has developed a resistance? So that's going to come up also in the podcast. And something that you probably didn't know is that the overuse of antibiotics has increased like the number of drug resistant germs. Yeah, you heard me correct. Drug resistant germs. These guys are literally resisting now. They are just like, oh, you're trying to kill me. Well, I'm not gonna die. Instead, I'm gonna like get more and eat your whole entire body up. So, the best things that you can basically do and to, kind of tackle this whole situation is if you kind of like me and you don't like going to the doctor so much, clinic, nurses, health places and so forth, and especially like this time of the year, a lot of us are afraid to go there because you feel like I could get like COVID, or I could get a flu, or I could get sick while sitting there in the waiting room or something like that. So we kind of avoided like like the flu basically. So there's stuff that you can do, and these are antibiotics that are basically at home, and you can incorporate this in your cooking, you can incorporate it in your breakfast, you can incorporate it in something that you can drink. And these include like garlic, as I've mentioned in the past, honey, as well as ginger. Then there's also golden seal, which is basically also coming in like a tea form. And there's also clove. Clove is actually very, very good because it also does tackle E. coli. And there's oregano as well. And these are pretty good things that you can use because like oregano has an anti-inflammatory property. So this can help you a lot. This can help fend off, all these type of infections and stuff like that. And it's always better to just, prevent. Don't wait till you get sick. It's always better to just prevent it. And funny enough, hey, I've also realized that some people that they don't like these things. Like you find someone saying, well, I don't like garlic because it gives me bad breath. Well, then you gotta be smart about this. Have garlic as a late night thing, when you have your dinner, when you know that after dinner you're gonna chill around, have, watch television and just be with your family. And garlic, funny enough, it's one of those things like when you eat it and you eat it with other people, you can't smell it off somebody because you ate it. So the perks of cooking garlic and eating garlic is that when you share it with people, is that the people that you've shared it with, they can't smell it on you and you can't smell it on them. So you all have like garlic breath and it's totally unnoticeable. So that's also a good tip I can give you, like having garlic meals at night or later on, or maybe you sharing it with your friends, and maybe just surround yourself with people that probably don't care about that and thinking, well, it's all about health at the end of the day. So dude, have as much garlic as you want. Doesn't matter how much you stink, have garlic as much as you want. It's good to have those people. And then you also find some people that don't like the taste of honey. Now, for those people who don't like honey because they find it to be very, very sweet, other people don't like it because of the aftertaste, other people don't like it because the main one is because it's really, really, really sweet, is you can put it in your teas, have a cup of tea and mix honey in it. And something that also tastes very nice, which I used to do back in the days when I used to drink coffee, was I used to put honey in my coffee because I never used to drink coffee with sugar anyways, but I used to add it in my coffee, and the same properties, they still, kind of help you. And then you get ginger. Now, ginger is one of those as well that a lot of people don't know what to do, and they think the only way that they can have it is if you boil it and drink it, which is, by the way, pretty gross tasting. That doesn't taste nice. Is you can also cook with it. Chicken that's got ginger is very delicious. Stuff like pork as well. It tastes very, very nice. You can have it in your breads, like your garlic bread. You can make your own bread. Whereas I've done in the past, where I've grounded like some garlic and I mixed it up with the butter, and then I just laid it on the outside whilst the bread was still hot, and it fumes inside the bread as well. and it tastes like oh so delicioso, oh so delicioso. So these are some of the things that you can totally do at home, okay, at home, and these will help you a lot. These will really, really help you in getting rid of, you know, having to go to the clinic and stuff like that. So it's always best to be safe than to be sorry. So take these things, eat these things, have these things on a daily basis or every second day as often as you can, so that you can avoid, you know, a whole lot of stuff. So like I said, it just so happens that we can't avoid this. It's COVID, it's going on, it's around the whole entire world. Now, apparently, there are 2 new strands that are out, and a couple of my friends already have it, and a couple of other people that I've also heard of have the cove. But all I'm saying is stay safe, you people with COVID. Please try not to affect and infect other people. You know, stay indoors, really wear your masks, even if it means like around the house, especially if you're living with other people and they don't have it. So just respect them. Remember to keep washing your hands. I know sanitizer is expensive, but soap is something that should always be in the house anyways, because come on, you need a bath, you need a shower, you need to take care of yourself, you need to do all that stuff, right? So, you know, use soap, wash your hands regularly, don't touch your face, but the usual. And even if you're sitting by yourself in the house and you do have the cove, or you feel like a flu is coming along, it's always best to have a mask on, so that when you do like scratch yourself or something like that and it's around your face, you know that your mask is already protecting those areas that could cause those germs to be spread around the whole house. Because it would really suck, right, if you get COVID and then you get healed from the cove, and then once you get healed from the cove, you get it again because of the germs that you spread in your own space. So that's pretty dumb. So it's just always best to be on the safe side. Wear a mask, wash your hands, stay clear, stay away from a lot of people, and stay away from other people that probably have the flu. Who knows, it could also make things worse. So the health minister, Joe Patla, has actually gazetted new regulations under the National Health Act to replace the country's transitional measures. Now, these rules cover a number of key issues, including the wearing of masks, gathering, and travel. So we're going to get into that. Now, some of the key regulations around masks which remain in effect still include the wearing of a mask as something that's mandatory for every single person, especially like in an indoor public place, and also especially also in transportation, which I must admit is something that I forget to do. And the health minister also has the power to lift regulations around masks when he deems that they are no longer necessary. So if we... That was then, and this is now. We don't have to wear a mask anymore, but in some places they still want you to wear a mask. And it is also your prerogative whether you're going to wear it or you're not going to wear it. And the nice thing is we can still go out and party and be in close proximity with other people, because I've seen other people do it, and I think it's fine. But like I said, that's their choice at the end. So anywho, we got a game coming up in just a second. Game, whoop whoop.
It's game time. And today's game is very easy. As we're starting the new games on Breakfast Leftovers podcast, it's Fiddle My Riddle. The question is, what has to be broken before you can use it? What has to be broken before you can use it? You can put your answers in the comments below. Alternatively, you can go onto the Facebook page or group and give your answers there.
There are people that are, like I mentioned, misusing antibiotics. And the overuse of these antibiotics has actually increased the number of drug-resistant germs. And what you can do to help to stop this health threat is basically, you know, stop taking a whole lot of antibiotics every time you're ill, because they are important drugs. But many of these antibiotics can successfully treat infections caused by bacterial infections, but they can also prevent the spread of diseases, and antibiotics can also reduce serious disease complications. That's why it has to be taken. But we come to a place where there's been an overuse of antibiotics, and the overuse of antibiotics, especially taking, you know, antibiotics when they're not in the correct treatment, it does promote this resistance. And now, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, there's actually about 1/3 of antibiotics that is being used in people, which is not needed nor even appropriate, which is very bad. And these antibiotics treat infections caused by bacteria, but they don't treat infections caused by a virus, like, viral infections. Like, for example, an antibiotic is like the correct treatment for, like, for example, a strep throat, which is caused by bacteria. But it's also not the right treatment for most sore throats, which are caused by viruses. So you gotta be careful, and you gotta be in the know-how, and you gotta be very, very smart. Because if you take an antibiotic when you have a viral infection, the antibiotic attacks bacteria in your body, and these are bacteria that are helpful or actually not causing any disease. But this incorrect treatment can then promote resistant properties, and it's pretty harmless. But bacteria that can be shared with other bacteria, or it can actually create an opportunity for potentially harmful bacteria to replace the harmful ones. So basically, what has happened in your body, in a nutshell, is these dudes that are fighting for your life in your body, they are constantly going like, oh, we're gonna fight for you, we're gonna be there for you, we're gonna be strong, we're gonna do 1, 2, 3 for you. But then you take a whole bunch of antibiotics, which is basically not prescribed or not good for that treatment. Is what happens is that disease, it kind of withers away. But the thing with antibiotics is, okay, let me explain it to you in plain old terms. Basically what happens is the antibiotic, firstly, it starts off to kill the weaker cells, the weaker diseases, the weaker germs, not cells. It kills the weaker germs. And as time goes by, then it starts killing like the medium strong germs. And then after that, it starts killing the strong germs. And then after that, it kills the extremely dangerous germs, the ones that basically cause the illness in the first place. So when you take an antibiotic, and they always tell you, like, you gotta finish it, you have to finish it, and they even give you like a time frame, like you have to take it every 6 hours or every 8 hours, and whatever the case may be. What that does is you basically killing the small ones, medium strong ones, then the strong ones, and then the very strong ones. But if you don't finish taking your antibiotic, what happens to you is that the strong ones, they start to make the disease or the sickness or the infection very worse. So basically, what started off being something very mild that could have been okay for you to take an antibiotic is it starts to not work on you. So even if you go again to the doctor and they give you an antibiotic for something that deserves an antibiotic, those guys are so strong and it's harder to get rid of them because you didn't finish your first cycle. And also the problem with not finishing your first cycle, besides that, is it can form such a big resistance on your body because you didn't do it. You didn't do it correctly. So that creates a problem. And when the problem from eating. So basically, you need to take antibiotics on time when you're told to take them. And when you don't, you're in serious trouble. And you don't want to be in serious trouble. Because over time, what's going to happen to you is that the antibiotics are not going to work. And you're going to have formed a resistance, which is not good. So over time, that's going to kill you. No, seriously, it will. Because there's some infections and some diseases and some stuff that is dangerous, as you've noticed. People get sick and some of them do die. And it doesn't help you because now you've got this resistance and you get so sick and then you die. And you don't want that. You don't want to die. You want to listen. You want to be a good kid and you want to listen. Okay? To your elders and the practitioners and the doctors, and when they say finish this, finish it. Excuse me. If they give you like 2 bottles, take it. I totally burped right there. So anyway, so you want to be a good kid, want to be a good humanoid, and take your antibiotics. So now, I gotta tell you this. Oh my goodness, I'll tell you the story. But okay, no, I'm gonna tell. No, okay, wait. No, I'm telling you right now. So when you're not a good person or a good kid or a person that doesn't listen, especially to the elders and the people that are wiser than them, you're gonna regret it. You're gonna regret it big time. Like for example, these kids. Okay, these kids were raised by like their parents, and they're very very naughty kids. They're bad kids. They don't listen. They those kind of kids like they don't even make up their beds. They don't do as they told. They do what they want to do when they want to do it, and that's not cool. So their father was like, hey kids, their father's like this learned guy. He's always in the books. He's always trying to teach them lessons, trying to speak to them, trying to grow them, trying to make them smart, trying to make them see, But these kids are just naughty kids. They're dumb kids. Like, they're really dumb fudges. They don't listen. So what this man did is he'd continue. He never gives up. Because, as parents, we love our children. We're not going to give up on them. Just because they don't listen, it doesn't mean we're going to be like, throw my hands up in the air. Don't care. Because they don't listen anyways. Why bother? Speak to them. So exactly what happened is he's a good daddy. And he keeps telling them, like, this is what you got to do. Guys, you got to learn. Pick up this book. It's got very good information in it. You got to learn. You got to listen. You got to read. Read. Reading will grow your mind. Reading will make you see things. Reading will take you places you've never been. Reading will groom you. It will grow you. It'll make you understand what you don't understand. It'll teach you so much. But these kids are like I said, they're bad kids. They're really, really dumb kids. So what happened is over some time, their papa passed away. And when their daddy passed away, the kids were sad and they were upset and everything. And the house was always dirty and unruly and gross and everything. But their father, instead of leaving them like a whole chunk of money, he paid for the house so they could live in the house, and the services were also paid for and everything. So they were living okay, but he also left them his books. And these kids, they put all his books in boxes, and put them in the garage, and they didn't care, and they didn't listen. Like I said, these are like dumb fudges. They don't listen. They're really bad kids, and we can't be like that. We have to listen. Because we can learn so much from the elders, the old people, they know stuff. We must listen, pay attention. So what happened is these kids, they didn't listen. And over time, in their very dirty house, obviously beds are not made up. Dishes can sit there and it can be all disgusting. Roaches everywhere, like cockroaches everywhere, you understand? And you get like rats everywhere, makundwan, that's Zulu for rats, makundwan. They're like running around rampant, and it was too much because these gundwanes were like starting to eat their feet when they're sleeping and stuff like that. So they were like, we gotta clean up. Like seriously, we gotta clean up. Like this place is starting to look like shift. So we gotta do something about this. So they decided, okay, fine. If we really have to, like, obviously you have to, like, rats are eating your toes when you're sleeping. Like, it's time to clean up. That's just gross. So they started to clean up, and they clean up, and they went into the garage and started cleaning up there. And they realized, rats were also living inside the boxes that they put their father's books inside. And so they thought, maybe we should get new boxes, because these boxes were also dilapidated and falling apart, and it was just so bad. It was just really disgusting, smelling like rat. Can you believe like human children live in this place? But that's what happens when people don't listen. Bad-ish happens to them. So that's exactly what happened. So they got new boxes, and when they were trying to, just move the box from the one place to the other, some of the books fell through the box from the bottom. And funny enough, a 10 rand note fell out of the book as well. So this was weird, and it's a 10 rand note that's also been eaten because the rats have been eating the books as well. So I thought that's weird. And accidentally, the rest of the stuff fell out as well. And they found to be money sticking out of some of the pages. Now, some of this money is actually eaten by rats. Now, you can imagine, obviously, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to be like, wait, is there like 10 rand and is there money in every single book? Like, really? All to find that in each book, like not every second book, in each book, there was about 300 rands in each book, almost on every single page. And there were boxes of books. This man was learned. He was their father. He was learned. He was a lecturer. He was always giving speeches. People always came to him for advice and all these things, and his own children didn't listen to him. Like, how screwed up are these kids? Like, really, how screwed up are these kids? How dumb are they? I told you, dumb fudges. Like, over time, over many years, these kids find money in these books. A lot of money. It's about 300 rands in each book. And it's boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of books. So it just goes to show that it's very important that we listen. It's very important that we listen to our elders. It's very important that we listen to the people, especially the ones that brought us into this world, because they care about us and they love us and they want the best for us. And if we do not listen to them, we're really going to, end up being dumb fudge kids. You understand what I'm saying? That's exactly what's going to happen to us. Even as adults, we're not going to be like very useful to society, because can you imagine the neighbors of these kids? They also probably are suffering from rats that have been like festing, growing and reproducing in this one house, and it's probably affecting the whole entire street, affecting the whole entire suburb, infecting the whole entire country. It can go that bad because we just don't listen. So we need to be obedient, and this all started because they didn't have that attitude of listening in the first place. I mean, they couldn't even be doing what they were told in just simply making up the bed. They couldn't even do what they were told in simply just cleaning up behind them. They couldn't just do those simple things. And in return, even when their father said, read these books, please, I urge you, read these books. And he had left all their inheritance, all of them combined in these books. They were foolish to see it, and then instead their inheritance, most of it was eaten by rats. So let's be smart, good humanoids, and let us not take advantage of our parents. Let us respect our elders so that we can also be respectful humanoids, in our future, so that we can be respectful people, so that we can literally live a life that is good, a life that is clean. I mean, even before COVID-19, I used to sanitize my hands. I used to have sanitizer in every single bag of mine. But besides the point, we need to, take care of ourselves. And that's exactly what these podcasts are about. This is exactly what Breakfast Leftovers is about. It's about us. Yes, it's true. We're fun, we're loving, we're cool, and we're calm and crazy. Calm and crazy. It's totally ironic. But we are allowed to have fun. Okay, we are allowed to do fun things. We are allowed to experience new things. We are allowed to go crazy and all these amazing things. Enjoy life, live on the edge and so forth. But we must also take care of ourselves. We need to take care of the person who stares at us in the mirror. When you look at yourself in the mirror, no one's really taking care of that person except you. It's your responsibility to take care of you. And knowledge is power, as cliche as that is, but a cliche is a cliche at the end of the day. And those cliches have meanings, which is another cliche. And cliches are also very good for us, which is another cliche. So a cliche is going to be a cliche, which is going to be a cliche, which is going to be a cliche. But in reality, we owe it to ourselves to take care of ourselves. We owe it to ourselves to learn and to grow and to be better humanoids and be better and clean and healthy. We owe it to ourselves to do that. What is honestly the point of not experiencing and not living and completely, just being a vegetable? and not living up to our expectations, or living up to our desires, or living up to what, our parentals or the people who believe in us think that we can actually reach that capacity. What is the point if we're going to live up to 100 and not experience any of that? I mean, I'd rather be one of those people who have lived the most and died young, because they went out there, they did it, they experienced, they totally lived like the good life. And honestly speaking, we are foolish if we think that we just gonna exist and things are just gonna happen. No, it doesn't work that way. We need to learn, we need to grow, we need to be the ones that actually say, look, this is what I want for myself, this is how I'm gonna achieve it, this is what it's gonna take out of me to achieve it, and just shoot for gold. Just do it. Dun 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 dun. Do it. Dun 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 dun. Just do it. I mean, there's a song like that. No, really. There is a song like that, and you must just do it.
Alright, so the answer for today's game, Fiddle My Riddle, is none other than eggs. Because you have to crack eggs before you can use them. Yay! If you've got it correct. Let's continue with the podcast.
Because it just so happens that, yes, there has been people who have, as a matter of fact, died very young. But these guys, they lived, bro. They lived to their highest peak. They lived to the highest peak of their careers. They experienced, they traveled, they did it all. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of the 27 Club. I mean, do you know what the 27 Club is? You don't know what the 27 Club, okay, wow. The 27 Club is basically, it's like an urban legend that, popular musicians, artists, actors, they die at the age of 27. Which actually has kind of, it's kind of frequent. It's an anomaly that's happened a couple of times, I'm talking about Brian Jones, I'm talking about Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, John Michael McQuaid, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, that's just the international guys. And there's been in our country, in South Africa as well, and there's been all over the world, and there's just so many people who have actually died at this young age. But these guys have achieved so much. They have done so much. And I'd rather have been at 27 dying than, honestly, being like this old hag who's experienced nothing, learns nothing, does nothing. Come on, our lives are much more important than that. And you deserve the best. I'll always tell you this, because you do. Out of all the sperms out of your daddy's genitalia and your mother's uterus, you came into this world. You were born. You're the one that exists. You are the one, Neo, like the Matrix. You that person. You're important. And you're here with a purpose. You're here with a great purpose. And you need to fulfill that purpose. And you cannot be satisfied until you have sucked in as much knowledge as possible and completed that purpose. Because you can do it. You can do it. I'm Rose Leanne. It's Breakfast Leftovers. Make sure you subscribe. Please ring that bell so that you can get the notifications. Like my podcast. We'd really appreciate that. And share it. Download it. Listen anyway. Lunchtime can be fun. And you learn something every single day. And share it with your friends and family. Because every single podcast, you're going to learn something cool. You're going to learn something new. And we're going to do things together. And honestly, if we, all of us, have one mind to be better and get the best out of this world, guess what? This world is gonna be the best. And that's exactly what we want. We want the best world in the world. Okay? Exactly. You in the universe, okay, fine, whatever. But we wanna have the best. We just wanna, be the ones that just, we gotta be those ones that make an impact. You listening to this, you can make an impact by sharing it with everybody else, and we all become those people that make an impact. Like, you understand? So you do awesome things. You be fantastic. Keep listening. Keep supporting. It's Breakfast Leftovers. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. I'm Rose Leanne. Ciao.